glorious day, Cross Church family. As part of the weekly devotionals, it is my turn to pretty much go into the Word with you and just help inspire your week. And you're probably wondering why I have these shades on. I only have these shades on just because of the fact that every time I feel like Daniel takes a thumbnail from my picture, it always looks like I have my mouth wide open. So I was trying to give him something to work with there in the very beginning. Watch him still find a way to put like my tongue or mouth hanging out and I just look all goofy. But anyways, I just wanted to say once again to my wonderful wife, Therese, of 14 years of marriage, again, happy anniversary. Just happy that we've been able to spend this time together. And that happened as of July 26th. So this week, along with VBS, has been a very busy week. But while we were out shopping for other gift items, just wanted to share this. I'll scoot back just a little bit. It was a nice little plaque from Mardell's where it was saying rules for a happy marriage. And it was saying things like laugh together, say I love you, forgive and forget, never stop dating, communicate, show gratitude, always kiss goodnight, encourage each other, and remember why you fell in love. I just shared that because I thought that was really cute. And speaking of our marriage, we at one point, we're doing great now, so we're very happy. But there was a point in time in our lives where when the boys, our two sons, were about 4 and 2, and we had hit a financial rough patch. And during this time, I had just left working at my former employer of Sprint. And I was very tired of working at Sprint. Like, I did not feel treated right there, so it was just an all-around bad situation. I'm just happy to finally have been free from it. So I took the opportunity to come to Dell to try and work a temporary job there. And while trying to work that temporary job, it was supposed to be a 3-month job. So I was supposed to get in, get the 3 months done, and upon getting the said 3 months, we would be, I could pretty much try and roll over to full-time. So while doing this, Teresa and I, the money was good that I was getting from Sprint. So how that was working out was I went ahead and quit my Sprint job and started working at Dell as a temporary agent for this third party. So I wasn't directly hired by Dell. Dell was just kind of acting as like the mediator who just offered the building and services. And Teresa at this point in time was being the stay-at-home mother for our kids. Well, after about 2 weeks in the temporary job, they just completely killed the contract with Dell. Said just shut it down. We're not finishing out. We're not paying anybody out the remainder of the time. So you're just going to have to take that 2.5 months of what you thought was going to be income coming in, and it's just now gone. Now, I'll admit at that point I was pretty disheartened by the fact that I lost that pay, because I'll just be honest, I had all these plans. I had plans for not only just like days, but I was like trying to talk to people and get ideas of who I should try and get in close with to try and see about moving up quickly in the company. So I had plans set out for like days, weeks, even months into the future, trying to make sure I could secure that permanent position at Dell. Well, since I was laid off, I just felt just terrible. Like driving back home, I felt like the worst because I thought I had all these plans set in motion, and I just get over to go back to home, and finally when I get there, I'm just walking the door and I just look like the saddest man on the planet, because I was the breadwinner at that time. It was me. So if anything financially happened, it was up to me to make sure we turned out okay. And so I had, like I said before, I had all these plans hoping things would work out, and instead I'm coming back home defeated. Well, Therese hugged me, we prayed, and she told me, well, here's what we need to do. Since we're now both unemployed, what we need to do is that we both need to just start applying for positions as soon as possible. And upon doing so, whoever gets work first becomes the working parent, and whoever doesn't becomes the stay-at-home parent. So after doing that, we applied for about maybe about a month, and she found work first. So I became the stay-at-home dad, which was a completely change of pace compared from being the breadwinner to the caregiver. So I had to pretty much completely change roles. That was very weird for me at first, and had moments in times where I had to lean on her more to get better understanding as to how to try and fulfill that role. But I will say during that time, we were financially covered. When I lost my position, it was tax time. So pretty much my tax return helped cover the about 6 month gap I had there of not being able to work while she was also working. And while I did that, it really did relieve me of some of the stress, and I just had to give thanks to the Lord for that. And then all that time, while being jobless for the 6 months and staying at home with the kids, it was truly a blessing, because when I got to stay at home with the boys, I grew closer to them than I think I ever had before, and it made me even appreciate my boys and my family all the more. And that how we were all able to just kind of pull together and just work through that situation. And that's what I wanted to just go over with you today, church. I shared that story just because from Scripture we can see Ecclesiastes 3:1. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Now, as you saw there, I had a season of job loss. But despite the season of job loss, we were still blessed. I still had my taxes. Yes, things were a little bit tighter. Therese had to go to work and I had to stay at home. But during that season, I grew closer to my family. And I will never, ever take that time back, and nor will I ever take it for granted. And so I'm appreciative for that time. And I would never, and if I had to live it again, I would gladly have taken that job loss just so I could get to spend that time with my kids that I don't get to as much frequently as I do now, which in a way is kind of sad, but so again, I'm truly grateful that I get to do it now, or I now have a position where I get to try and have more time to spend with them in the evenings. Before when I worked in previous call centers and employment, I didn't have that luxury. And lastly, I just want to add another bit of scripture here for us, which was Proverbs 19:21. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. And the reason I say that, church, is because I think I was meant to take that time. I don't doubt it at all. I had all these different plans coming up where I was thinking, man, I'm going to get ahead. I'm going to get into Dell. I'm going to just get my position locked in, and it's going to be great. And then I lose my job. But as you can see here, I grew more as a father, which is what I could ever have hoped for, that through the Lord's plans, He made that possible. And then all the while, despite the fact that we may have flip-flopped between her working and me staying at home, I love the fact that this little sign here, we still did multiple things that this sign said. We laughed together. We still said we love each other. We would have moments in time where we had to grow, so we'd have to forgive and forget. We had moments where we would still try to ask my mom or friends to let us go out together, so we would not stop dating. If we had issues, we tried to make sure to communicate them. We would show gratitude to each other. I would do dishes, which was something that I didn't do too frequently. Not that I don't know how, but I would do them, and she would come in and say thank you, and I would tell her thank you for going out to work and doing all she did for the family. We would kiss each other goodnight. That's always a given. If you're not doing that, I don't know. Something's wrong. But we would encourage each other, and we would remember why we do what we do, because we love each other. And that's just all I have for you this week, church, is just remember, you can set up all the plans you want, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. And then remember that there is a season for everything. There's a season for loss. There's a season for sorrow. There's a season for joy. There's all types of seasons. And just reflecting back on my anniversary, I just thought of that, and I just wanted to share that little bit of tidbit of my past with you all, just to hope that it would help inspire you and to remember that no matter what season you're going through, to remember that it always comes back to the Lord's purpose, and because the Lord's purpose will prevail. I love you, Cross Church, and I hope you have a glorious week. Bye for now.